last Friday, it was announced that O.J. Simpson had passed away due to cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And out of respect, I wasn't going to tell a joke about O.J. Simpson, but I would take a stab at one next week.
Mm-hmm.
And so today, I let everybody know that, people messaged me and said that joke was a little over the line. And so, I just want to say that I really hope that OJ can rest knowing that his wife's killer is dead.
Uh-huh.
I miss the days when you could make toys that could kill a kid. Because we watched Season 7, Episode 13, The Seven. So, Katie.
Hello.
How did you like The Seven?
This felt like kind of So, I'll say that it's very Season 7.
Mm.
It is a low-level funny throughout. There's parts that I didn't like, but overall, I guess I liked it.
Mm.
A show that is, into its 7th season and is in such a groove. I think even if it's not the strongest episode, it's still going to have good parts.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if you go to IMDb, I don't know what the lowest ranked Seinfeld episode is, but it's probably in like the 7s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was a fine episode, but I just felt like it jumped around too much and like none of the stories like really went anywhere.
There was very little overlap.
And it was like 4 distinct stories that you could have told in 5 minutes.
Sure. Or
which
any
I guess
episode.
makes 20 minutes episode.
So I'm guessing you didn't like it.
It was fine. There were some laughs. There were some misses. I guess we'll talk about it. But The Seven was written by Alec Berg and Jeff Schaffer. It was directed by Andy Ackerman. It aired on February 1st, 1996. Screen Crush ranked it as the 89th best episode.
Mm-hmm.
Vulture.com ranked it as the 48th
Oh, really?
best episode. I feel like that's a little high.
Yeah.
IMDb had it at a 126.
I feel like maybe that's a bit low. I don't know.
But that's an 8.1 out of 10.
Still an A-level episode.
Yeah.
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 So who are the guest stars?
So we had Wayne Knight and Heidi Swedberg returning as in their... I was going to say as and then in there. As in there. Roles of Newman and Susan. We had Ken Hudson Campbell, who played Ken. He was in Armageddon, Groundhog Day, and Home Alone.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. Who was he in Home Alone?
He was Santa. Do you remember when Kevin goes to see Santa and it's closed and he goes to like a beat up car and there's like a Santa like smoking a cigarette?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who was he in Groundhog Day?
Man in Hallway.
Oh, because he looked familiar, but
yeah, kind of like one of those guys, right? Not one of those guys are the other 2 guest stars that I wrote down. Shannon Holt played Carrie. She was in an episode of That 70s Show. She was in an episode of Grace Under Fire. She was in an episode of Facts of Life. Had kind of a career where it was just like, episode here, an episode there, episode here, episode there.
Mm-hmm.
As well as Lisa Deanne Young, who played Christy, who was in even fewer things. She was in a TV show called Public Morals, and an episode of Just Shoot Me, and an episode of The Norm Show.
Did she have a weird cheek?
Was she foreign?
I feel like maybe it was just the lighting, but I feel like one of her like cheekbones maybe had like or like her like the fat pad of her cheek maybe was scarred or something.
Maybe she had buccal fat removal?
Oh, ahead of her time.
Buccal fat removal? How do you pronounce that?
Buccal, I think.
Buccal? That's like a new thing that started last year, right?
Yeah, they found like half an ounce of fat in your face that they could charge thousands of dollars to take out.
So why don't we throw it back to last week to see if I remembered this episode? George shares that he would like to name his child Seven and is upset when somebody else names their child that.
Well,
how'd I do?
I think you nailed it. I'll read the synopsis. George wants to name a child Seven. Elaine and Kramer enlist Newman's help to settle a dispute. Jerry dates a woman who always wears the same dress. I'm going to skip right to the end.
Okay.
I like that we did not resolve why she wore the same dress.
I recently came across a thread on Reddit, and they were like, so what are your theories?
Yeah. I love that Jerry's left hanging, and he's yelling into the phone at the end, why do you wear the same dress? And she's already hung up. Mm-hmm. That's probably the best part of this episode.
I think that was the best part of Jerry's storyline.
Yeah, he's firmly in the I'm just everyone's buddy role. But this one, I mean, he had the Superman sort of reference with the, the scoop neck, looks like a cape of solitude, all this stuff.
Fortress of Solitude.
Oh, God. Sorry. All my credibility just went out the window. Mm-hmm. I think for a Jerry story, that was a good day.
So, what's your theory?
I would say that it's like Marge's Chanel suit. She has this one thing that she spent a lot of money on. She gets a lot of compliments on. And she's like, this is my nice dress. Maybe, we don't know what she does. She lives in a fairly large apartment in New York, but, maybe she doesn't have cash for nice outfits. So it's like, that's my going out dress. That's my theory.
Okay.
What's yours?
Autism.
Okay. So the stand-up starts with Jerry saying that we always take credit for compliments about our clothes.
This is true. I mean, you did.
You bought the clothes.
You picked it, you bought it, and you chose to wear it.
Yep.
So you're part of the equation.
By that logic, if I dress like a slob, am I not a good person?
It's the corollary. Also true. I don't really know why Jerry's at this antique shop with Elaine in the first place. Doesn't seem like something he'd want to do.
No, I'm sure they were actually going somewhere else and she pulled him in.
And then she bought a bike?
Does she want to ride the bike or does she just want to have the bike?
Well, Kramer and Newman wanted to ride the bike.
Yes, but we didn't see Elaine ride the bike.
For her, it was just an objet d'art.
It was like when I was in my 20s and realized I could do whatever I wanted, so I bought Street Fighter on Super Nintendo because I wasn't allowed to have it as a kid.
She wasn't allowed to have that bike as a kid, so she
just wanted it in her life. But ironically, out of the three of them, she's the one who would fit on a child's bike, but never rides it. Did you ever have a bike with a big U handlebar?
No, not to my recollection. I had this red bike, and maybe it had U handlebars. I think it might have, because then after that, I got a mountain bike, and it had like straight with like bull horns, and I was like, "Ooh, it's straight. That's cool."
Why did we all get mountain bikes?
I feel like
for riding in the city in the 90s.
In 1992, mountain biking became a sport, and
because my parents also had mountain bikes.
Yep.
They at one point had those super skinny tire like city bikes.
Yeah.
And then like I got a mountain bike. I got a mountain bike. My mom got a mountain bike. We never went mountain biking. We rode on trails, like paved trails.
I think maybe like a mountain bike's a little bit more versatile. Like you can go on the grass a little bit more easily than like one of those.
I guess. Or if you're like cutting across a pebbly dirt area from one thing to another.
You can go through just like dirt pathy trails.
Yes.
You're not like wearing a spandex suit and a aerodynamic helmet.
I now have a city bike. I feel like my seat's too high. I'm going to fall off it.
They always put that seat higher than you want it.
So I'm going to lower it because I thought, I've just been riding my seat with my seat too low my whole life. And they adjusted it to this height, and I am scared. I'm like teetering on. I think I look silly too. Like I'm already tall, and I'm just like way up high above everybody else on the path.
This weird giraffe galloping down the path.
Yes.
Because your leg is supposed to be almost like fully extended at the bottom of your pedal, but if that's the case, then you can't touch the ground.
Never, and then, which is fine, but I'm not really good at like the rolling mount and dismount. Like I have to stop and get off my bike. Mm-hmm. If I learned how to do the 1 foot on and push and swing over, I feel like it wouldn't be a problem.
Like a skateboard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never learned how to do that. My dad tried to teach me once. And I was just worried about falling and getting like tangled up in my bike. So I was too scared. Now I'm too old.
Yeah.
So George and Susan are out with Susan's cousin and his wife at Pasta Vici.
Wait, is Susan... Carrie is Susan's cousin, right?
I thought Ken was her cousin.
Oh.
And it doesn't matter. What does that make George?
Nothing.
I'm sleeping with a cousin.
So legally, I can marry your kid.
I wrote that down. Why would he say this? So creepy.
It's exactly what we want to start thinking about before your child is born. Do you remember there was one Christmas or Easter where my family had I feel like it was 2-hour long discussion. It was probably 45-minute discussion about trying to like figure out what first, second, third cousin was, and then also what once removed meant.
Yes.
And we like sat around and argued, and then for 40, like it felt like a very long time before we were like, oh, we can just look this up on the internet.
We found a chart on the internet.
Because we all have phones.
I still don't know. I still would have to look at a chart. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what once removed is. But I when I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. But it still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I know that my parents' cousins are my second cousins.
Yeah.
So, like, nope. I almost said my nieces are my second cousins. That's not true. Is it?
You don't have any nieces. Oh, you do have nieces.
Jesus. That's cold. That's cold, man.
I was thinking, like, because you were talking about your parents' cousins. So then I was like, your parents don't have
other children. I don't have siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm just not an aunt to your nieces.
You know what I meant.
I see. So, like, your cousin's kid is your second cousin.
Yep.
What are they to me? Nothing?
I think marriage makes it once removed, but I don't know. What does it matter? You can marry them if you want.
Okay. I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah.
So the names that they have planned out for their daughter, Kimberly, Joan, Pamela. I feel like Kim, Pam, those are not names of the 90s.
No.
They're 70s and 80s names for girls.
Yeah, this episode was probably written by 30-year-old men.
Yeah. George recommends soda.
So I actually think this is pretty, like, probably mid-90s is when kids started getting named stupid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Apple Martin.
I don't even know what that is.
It's Gwyneth Paltrow's kid.
Yeah, with
I feel like that's the first weird name that I heard.
Yeah.
The first object name. Oh, now we're just in the bizarro
flip
zone.
a page in the dictionary and point at something. Grabbing the dictionary. Here we go. She's flipping to a page.
I can't wait to introduce you to baby micro instruction.
Micro instruction Costanza.
An instruction for a single operation, as opposed to macro instruction. Okay, let's try a shorter one. We're so excited to welcome Baby erectile. Okay.
You need a medical dictionary.
Baby quone.
Quone Costanza.
What would be your top boy name?
I've always wanted to have a son, Braden. I haven't thought of it. I don't know.
You didn't grow up thinking, boy, someday I'd like to have a son named...
Nope.
Neither did I, by the way.
I'd be impartial, like, off the top of my head right now, like, Jack. My grandfather's name was Jack, so, and Uncle Jack, and so there's, like, family in there, and it's a traditional name, kind of snappy.
Mm-hmm.
Mug Costanza.
So, when George is telling Jerry about this, the names that Jerry comes up with, I know I missed one. There was Mug, then something else.
Ketchup.
Nice name for a girl. Bisquick.
Mm-hmm.
Pimento. Gherkin. Maxwell House.
These are how people name their kids these days. To be fair to George, I don't think I've ever heard of a child named Soda.
Do you know any sevens?
Yes, I do. Do you know who named their child Seven?
Who?
Erykah Badu and Andre 3000.
So the kid's name is 73000?
I guess so.
When George tells Susan in the car, he goes,
Mm-hmm.
little weird.
So what's your name?
He just loves Mickey Mantle so much. Jerry goes, what about Mickey?
Mickey.
This is an episode of lists because when Elaine comes in with her sore neck, I can't remember what she said. I bruised my neck. What did she say? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. And then Jerry, did you...
Starts listing off. Did you strain it? Twist it? Pull it? Wrench it? Jam it? Squeeze it?
That's all Jerry does in this episode is list off things.
What's the difference between a sprain and a strain?
Severity?
Strain is less severe than sprain?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I guess you could just strain your muscles by working too hard, but then like the next day you'd probably feel fine.
Yeah.
And a sprain is like a
injury.
Actual injury. Yeah. I sprained my wrist 3 years ago. It still bothers me.
Yeah, you're old.
Yeah.
Injuries are permanent now. Conditions are now permanent.
Or maybe because I was seen virtually over the phone, it was improperly diagnosed and never treated.
Also a possibility.
Yeah.
You should go get dry needled.
God. I'm glad it's helping you, but you were in absolute misery when you do this. Unable to walk.
It's gotten better.
Well, it's good. From pain comes pleasure.
Learned how to tap into what does Kramer say? Learn to tap into the body's trigger points. He sells t-shirts down at the World Trade Center.
This is a good time to bring this up. So, Pasta Vici was a real place.
Mm-hmm.
Closed. The Antique Toys facade was a real place. Or maybe there was just another place in New York called Antique Toys. So I have a list of all the place references in this episode, and there's quite a few. And World Trade Center
was a real place.
I didn't notice these names, but Jerry and Christy go to some place called Cafe Paul on their date, real place. Later, they go to a diner called Bolo, also real. And Susan and George go to some place called Peter's, which is real. And then at the end, Jerry calls Kramer Hobo Joe, which was a restaurant chain in Arizona.
Well, there you go.
It is no longer in existence.
Was it a restaurant chain where you could just go in and
take whatever you wanted?
And put an IOU in a fishbowl?
Maybe. Your mooching inventory? You bite it, you bought it.
So I haven't seen Oppenheimer.
Me neither.
But one of the things that they say that George and Jerry are talking about Christy and say like, oh, Einstein used to wear the same thing every day. And he said, well, if she splits the atom, I'll let it slide. And I know that Einstein, like, what was Einstein's direct contribution to the atomic bomb?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no desire to see Oppenheimer. Do you?
I mean, there are aspects of it I'd like to see. Yeah.
2 of them? Heavenly Bodies?
It's a historical drama.
Mm-hmm.
It was highly regarded.
Yes.
And they're spectacular.
It's also 3 hours long, isn't it?
You cut it up.
That's not a thing I could go to the theater for. That's a let's watch this over the weekend while we're folding laundry or something.
I think so. What was the movie? The Irishman. Like when The Irishman came out on Netflix, you could like go online. People were like, okay, watch it until like minute 56 and then watch this and like the next until like 122.
Oh, okay.
And you could, like break it up into chunks that were like
that made sense.
Yeah. With movies these days, I feel like we need this. I don't have time to sit down for 4 hours to watch a movie.
No. Give me 110 minutes and I'm out of there.
You take 20 usually.
So Elaine's trying to say that her offer to give her bike to anyone who could fix her neck was not to be taken literally. It's like the saying, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Kramer says his friend J. Riemann Schneider eats horse.
Mm-hmm.
Gets it from his butcher. When I was traveling in Japan in my 20s, didn't bother to learn any of the language, but at a barbecue restaurant, they had a picture menu, which would have been really helpful, except the picture was of the food when it was cooked. So it was like, here's a white square. Here's a brown square. Here's a brown square with more like sauce on it. So it wasn't really helpful. But one of the items was just a picture of a horse. And so I was kind of like gesturing and saying, horse? No horse. They got it, I think. I wouldn't know.
Who are we? David Chang, I think, in one of his episodes of
Dinner Time Live.
Dinner Time Live with David Chang was talking about how he went to Japan and accidentally ate whale.
Did he like it?
No, he didn't.
Oh.
And he like didn't, similar to you, he didn't learn the language, didn't know anything, but he was in the restaurant and like what everybody was ordering was the same thing. So he was like, I guess I'll get that. And it ended up being whale.
The same time I was in Japan, I met up with my cousin who was living there, and him and all his friends went out to a big fancy dinner, and I was invited. And it was sort of like a set menu. So they just brought out stuff. And the first course was shark fin soup. So I didn't order it. I didn't ask for it, and it's already in the bowl. So I ate it. And my cousin wouldn't eat it. I was like, give it to me. It's delicious, and I will eat it. I'm not going to put it back on the shark. It's already here.
I don't think they can desoupify it. It's kind of like friggin', right?
What's friggin'?
Friggin', where it's like they won't pay for meat or animal products.
But it happens to fall on them, they'll eat it?
Yeah. Neko niku o zenzen tabemasen.
I don't eat cat?
I will never eat cat meat.
Hey, pretty good. Did you notice Newman drapes himself in velvet?
Looks like a comfy bathrobe. Did you notice the
Pringles can? Yes.
I didn't notice Pringles can. Oh, yeah. Sorry. When on the other side, but when it was on Newman, it had like the food chart, like the food groups.
I didn't notice.
A poster about the food groups behind him.
I think their set deck for him is just colorful, wacky stuff.
Whatever we got on.
Whatever is available.
Were you familiar with the what is it? The Tale of Solomon from the Bible and splitting it in half?
No.
Okay, I'm not either. And this was an homage to some tale in the Bible.
Oh. Okay.
What did you learn in Catholic school?
Absolutely nothing.
Apparently.
Hey, I was just listening to Best Friends while I was grocery shopping, as is my tradition. And Nicole brought up the Bible, some story from the Bible. And so they were like suggesting stuff. They're like, wait a minute, what is how long was Jesus alive for when he came back? And they're like, I think 40 days. And they're like, just bopping around for 40 days? And then he was gone? Like, and so the whole episode was just fact-checking misremembered stories from the Bible. And I should have had the answers. I don't know. I mean, he wasn't in the tomb and then he went up. I think it was 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days. Because that's like Good Friday to Easter Monday, right?
So what's the 40-day thing?
It's Lent.
That's before Easter.
Wasn't that how long he was on the cross?
For 40 days? No.
Yeah, I think so.
Nuh-uh. All right. Next time.
Get in the comments.
Fact checking. How 40 days on the cross? No way.
Hey Google, how long was Jesus on the cross?
So 12 hours max.
I might have overestimated. I had a lot of confidence in my boy JC.
They just
because through Jesus Christ, anything is possible.
Except avoiding crucifixion, apparently.
Or lasting more than 12 hours. If you do last more than 12 hours,
call your
contact
doctor.
your doctor.
Why is Christy mad at Jerry at the end?
I think, well, he's going through her stuff.
He just opened a closet, and that's gonna. But she'd already put on her robe. She was already like, "Nah, I'm not going."
Well, it's really her. Like, why does Jerry start going through stuff? Like, he's going to find like
her dresses aren't going to be in the.
And if he waits 30 seconds, he'll get his answer.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to,
rifle through her things.
Yeah, it's illogical. Maybe she's quadruplets,
and like we're only paying taxes as one person, so we got to look exactly the same all the time, same outfit,
live a
same
single
haircut.
person's life.
Yeah, we can work 4 salaries, pay one person's taxes. We all get to go to the doctor. We only pay for one person. Ma'am, you had diabetes 1 month ago, and now it's gone, and now it's back again.
Yeah, I don't know. You could have just waited.
Why did George go with the couple to the hospital?
Because he's insane. So apparently, deleted scene, he attempts to fill out the paperwork for the baby. And then another scene like later on where like Susan sees the baby 7 and he's like grumbling and still upset about it.
I think for that child's entire life, you would have to refer to it as the baby 7.
The baby 7?
Jerry at one point says to George, just because your life is destroyed, don't go do it to someone else.
Do you think this phenomenon, so after George tells Jerry, like, oh, name's 7, he's like, oh, that makes sense. 7 periods in a day, 7 beatings. Have we grown past the point where we bully kids for having weird names? Is that just like a TV trope that existed in the
No,
60s
I'm pretty
and
sure.
70s?
I'm pretty sure that kids will find something to pick on for anybody.
True.
And if you have a weird name, it's low-hanging fruit.
I guess so.
Bart, Cart, Dart, Eart.
You call him Larry. It's Larry Fairy.
All right, that's all I had.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
So I have a couple corrections. First of all, Jerry Seinfeld has a movie on Netflix called Unfrosted.
Yeah.
You said it was a TV show called Pop-Tarts.
I was going to correct myself about that.
So I went and registered an Instagram handle called Podtarts.
Oh, well.
But now we're not going to use it.
No.
It's just a movie. There's not enough to talk about.
Didn't you want to do movies after this?
I don't know what I want.
It's clear.
Frank was upset that Steinbrenner traded away Jay Buhner for Ken Phelps.
Okay.
You wondered what Burger King's called in Australia. It's Hungry Jack's. That's all I had.
I don't know how much you want to get into it. Do you remember in, I think it was season 2, there was a lost Seinfeld script called either The Bet or The Gun?
Oh, this rings a bell.
In which Elaine buys a gun. And they started filming and they were like, this doesn't work. We can't do this.
Oh.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
So that episode was lost to the sands of time. However, 2 weeks ago, a copy of the script ended up on the internet.
Oh my God. Are we going to do a radio play?
So I have a copy of the script if you'd like to do a radio play.
I don't think we can fit it into this episode, but I would like to release the radio play of the gun / the bet as a bonus episode.
Okay, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. This is very exciting. Send it to me before it goes off the internet.
I tried to download it.
So next week we have the Cadillac Part 1 and 2. What's it about?
Jerry buys his dad a Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
And it causes a lot of problems for his dad.
Okay. Well, bye.
Bye-bye. Believe it or not, this is our podcast. Please subscribe at the end. If you subscribed, we would be happy. Please subscribe to us. Believe it or not, it's our podcast.
Is that a Seinfeld reference?